Welcome, guys, to the podcast, The Health Hunters. My name is Fernando.
I'm Roxanne.
Hello, Roxanne. So today is going to be a very good one, you know?
Yes, a special day. We have a guest here.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Ciao, good.
That's Flaminia here. You guys are listening. It's my great friend. We're going to talk about amazing stuff today.
Yeah. So the first question that we always ask for our guest is, what is your definition of health?
I would say homeostasis. That is like it's the equilibrium in the body. So yes, I would say that's the definition of health. Like when everything is in balance, everything is in harmony, then there is health.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
very interesting to see like how not only we bring popular approaches to it, but also like a very scientific approach to seeing how health is caring by this era where we
Yeah.
live and asking.
And how would you experience this balance?
What do you mean?
Like, how do you know, like, oh, okay, I feel balanced?
That's a good question. Well, when you feel healthy, I guess that means that you're in balance. So when your mental health, it feels like when you feel in peace and you feel, I don't know.
For example, you have no complaints or
Yeah, exactly. You
anything,
don't
have
feel-
a lot of energy.
Not too much and not too little, when you're not too cold, not too hot. Like when you, except when you have no complaints, neither on positive side or negative side, because you can also have too much of positive things and then it's a negative thing.
Oh, so yeah, parts of positive things in life can lead to negatives and things. So a perfect balance. Homeostasis is definitely a very interesting experience, you know, on it. I think like seasons. I think like seasons are ones responsible to notice how we feel in different stages, in a very good stage, and then suddenly the season change and your influences your mood. And mood, of course, being controlled by, you know, all the biochemicals that the body has, right? Like, and they're always sensitive with that, right? It's a quite interesting way of looking how seasons, rhythms in general, like everything that has a rhythm, right?
Yeah, no, so it's another way if you're healthy, because if you're resistant to stress, and in this case, a changing of season is a stressful situation. So if your body is capable to resist to a stress, whatever it is, then you're probably strong and healthy and in harmony, as we said.
Yeah, that's what probably the reason we'll have you here today to talking also not about the chemistry on human beings, but also on the plants. I heard you also study like some sort of herbology and pharmacology things we're exploring, like not a little bit outside of our kitchen that is for a popular way of dealing with the same subject, but in a more accessible way for people to understand it. But you did a little step further on it, right? You went like into know a little bit more about the informations of plants and the qualities of it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we've been talking about the quality of the herbs. There's so many things regarding, but regarding herbs, we can go
So silent, right? Yeah, it's true.
so
Yeah.
many sides
But-
of them, and definitely influence health. Like it's one of the things that we can use to influence daily, because it's our food, it's our drinks, it's everything. Our drugs. At the end of it, there is always a herb or a vegetable or whatever we want to call it.
Yeah.
Something natural. I don't know.
Yeah. The tea, it's probably one of the most common things that people actually take it. You know what I mean? I don't know how old people have been consuming tea, but it is the history of tea. It is something that
We should check this book to see about thousands and thousands of years.
a thousand of years.
Yeah.
Looks like information how to.
Yeah, and if I'm not
Infusions.
wrong, it should be born like the culture of tea is born in China, in the Yunnan region, and where there are these, at least this is what it says in the book that I read, The Way of Teas. It talks about this forest of teas, like because the plant of tea grows as a tree enormous for meters, and then there are these enormous forests, and in those forests is where the monastery have been built, probably because the consumption of tea was going perfectly with the meditative life of those monasteries, where all is about contact with nature and studying. So the consumption of tea would help to stay awake and at the same time to focus, because coffee is not that good and keeps you focusing.
Oh, but until then, like also information such as coffee
Yeah,
and
exactly.
everything, or it had also medical or pharmacological properties on it, right? Like applying in different types of cases, maybe like, you know, depression or things like that, and using stimulating herbs.
Let's go backtracking. Did you come an approach to that you want to study like more further in herbology, and what interested you?
I don't remember. It happened while I was studying pharmacy, I guess. And then in the last years, there is some exams about, it's called phytotherapy. And like it's the pharmacology of the herbs, so the beginning of the pharmacy. And I always thought it was very, very interesting. And we also had a little courses about alternative medicine, and the Chinese medicine was the one that I was most attractive to. And so when I arrived here, there is a very good school of Chinese medicine where they have a course of herbology, so I immediately started that after my master's degree. But something that comes from my mother, because she has always been growing herbs and collecting them in the wild. I was going with her, learned how to make oil infusion with herbs. Probably it comes everything from there.
Again, in the kitchen, right? Like it was type of things. Then, you know, that information has been passing all over. Do you cook?
Yes, I cook.
You do cook, yeah. I think like you have like a very appreciation for the kitchen, yeah. And did your mother pass any like good recipe that you are using normally to marinate, for instance, herbs?
Well, we don't really marinate many things in
No?
Italian kitchen. Yeah, meat. We
Marinate
marinate meat, but I
with
don't cook meat.
Okay.
Almost.
Yeah.
I cook
Vegetarian or
vegetarian.
vegan? Vegetarian.
No, I cook vegetarian, not vegan.
Yeah.
Sometimes vegan, but I don't go that far. But definitely I don't cook any meat. It's rare. But, well, I incorporate for sure in soups. I would say that I use them in soups and, what else? Salads. Yeah.
Yeah, one the very
Salads, but also on pasta. For example, one of my favorite, like, it's not one recipe of my mom, but it's a fusion, and it's definitely, I call it a medicinal recipe. It's spaghetti with turmeric and ginger and garlic. It's like a twist on aglio, olio, and peperoncino.
Oh, sounds nice.
It's delicious. Yeah. And it's healthy because it should have anti-inflammatory and painkillers properties. It's great for arthrosis and yeah. So I would say that it's something that makes it.
Makes you feel.
It's food, but
yeah.
it heals you.
Yeah.
It's a good example. Even
Always,
if maybe it's a crazy recipe, but it's good. Just try it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that recipe with us. We're probably going to take
Try
it
it
out.
out, huh?
Yeah.
Horrible
And
comments
do you
after
remember? Yeah, seeing the comments of how it
Why
comes out
did
of
you
that.
let me do that?
Yeah. But do you remember when were taking that in each season? You were actually eating that type of
I don't remember a specific season. Also because here the seasonal is always the same.
Oh,
Practically,
yeah.
I would say it's a winter recipe. Yeah.
It's a winter recipe.
Yeah, ginger and turmeric are, I would say, that are wintry. There are
Soups,
roots, so yeah, I would say winter season.
Okay, why are they like winter herbs?
No, this is just more a feeling.
Oh, your
but,
feeling, okay.
But with Fernando, we've talked about the nature and about the warm nature and cold nature. And ginger is definitely a herb for the winter because it's very hot, and you use it in cold disease, basically, or disease caused by cold. And turmeric has a cold nature, but that's why it's anti-inflammatory. But I don't know why it's in my head. It's a pungent flavor. It's more a feeling. It's not. There is no science. But if I'm not wrong, also the roots are more linked to the winter, and this is also in my mind because we eat root during the winter time.
Yeah, in a way that makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
So yes, that's why.
Okay.
It's a feeling. Do you have any medicinal recipe?
Yeah,
Something
yeah,
like that.
No, I do. But do you have any, Roxanne? Any? Like I will probably say it here. Then, as my own recipe that I've been probably taking is a mix of like cardamom, ginger, turmeric, black pepper.
For what is this?
It's a curry.
Yeah. So no, but in terms of a drink like infusion as infusion, I will not say called tea because I don't apply herbs on it. You know, it's just really like the. I mean, it's herbs, but in a dry form, powder form. I mean, yeah, not like a tea herb.
What do you mean? You boil them? Or?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So it's a decoction.
A decoction, exactly. A decoction is being.
And you can use either the fresh herbs. When I make the pasta with ginger and turmeric, because they're both fresh.
Fresh.
Yeah. Otherwise, it would be.
Do you feel any difference, like in
totally?
between
The taste is completely different. Plus, the powder is either not nice when you have it in a drink or in food. Or you use it in little amount, specifically way, otherwise it's not pleasant.
That's why my recipe for medical part is not like about drinking powder. You know, it's just because you can drink it in high concentrations with a decoction, like, you know.
True, but then it really becomes unpleasant. Yeah. If you want to make it pleasant, it takes probably fresh ingredients, first of all. Yeah.
I think, like, that's the main key.
That's the main... It's the same with golden milk, no? You can make it either with dehydrated, with powder, turmeric and ginger powder, but I find it disgusting. Yeah. But if you make it with, as in the book, with a recipe like that, with the fresh ones, and you cook them, and then it's the most delicious drink in the world, really. It's fantastic, it's pungent, and it has so many levels of bitter and sweet. Delicious and spicy.
Actually, the first time I tried was you introduced me, Roxanne, to that.
Yeah, but I'm feeling guilty because I use just turmeric powder instead of the fresh one. So
it's a very annoying ingredient to use fresh because it colors your head like you have Simpson skin for days, and if you don't pay attention, it colors your food. The whole kitchen, it gets yellow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's why it's so annoying. But it is so much better. The taste.
Okay, I'm gonna try that
so
out.
much better and fresh. Yeah. And you find it here in Amsterdam. It's not easy, but you find it in the Chinese shop.
I saw it also last time in Albert Heijn. No, not good?
Doesn't really taste much. The one of Albert Heijn. Don't know why. I like the one of the Chinese shop. I don't want to say the name of the Chinese shop, but
okay.
Du Yong. No, also the other one that has a very weird name. Just here in the area, there are 2 or 3 very big shops, and they all have nice turmeric.
Yeah.
But it has to be like bright orange, like almost fake neon orange. I don't know how to.
And how long do you boil it for?
What about 20 minutes? Simmering, never
Simmering,
boiling, yeah. In the recipe that I use, you mix 50-50 water and milk. So you let the milk evaporate.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's all evaporate, you turn it off. So, but I think it's around 20 minutes, but I guess it depends.
Yeah, that's a good drink to drink today or this season.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, let's have here.
It warms, it helps fight also flu or...
Yeah. Yeah.
Great recipe, indeed. Effective notes of everything. And do you practice yoga?
Yeah, I would like to practice more yoga.
You like to do that
Yeah.
one? Yeah.
And
Do
I
you do
don't-
any kind of exercise? I mean, I say yoga because I have the same. Say I look at you as have a holistic approach to exercise. Otherwise, not.
I smoke weed, that's why. That's why sport,
Bicycle probably it is.
Bicycle, definitely.
Biking is an activity, yeah.
Yeah, bicycle is
yeah.
an activity.
But I always go on my bike. But yeah, I would say yoga, but I would like to do it more than what I do, sincerely. Actually, I was thinking to start a teaching class, but not because I want to teach, because I want to learn now. Because yoga is linked with health in a very close way. So every asana is a kind of beneficial purpose, and it can help in a specific, I would say, disease or disorder or even discomfort, not uncomfort, discomfort.
Discomfort, yeah. And to keep also all the body anatomy and physiology and position, because you check it out every single point when you do such as asanas,
It really brings you the homeostasis. When you stay for long in a position, what it happens is that your cells start to reset themselves, and homeostasis is recreated.
Yeah, that's very a basic thing to do, just to be sure that in everything parts of your body, then you check it out. You know what I mean? It's a quite good one. Yeah. But you fermentate food.
Yeah, sometimes. Very inconsistent with my experiments. But I had a period where I was fermenting a lot. And now I'm going to start again. As you guys said, this is season. So let's start again fermenting. I was doing kefir, for example, a lot. I love kefir. Water kefir. I always had water.
Kefir?
Water kefir.
Never heard of this.
Basically, it's the same colony. It's like, imagine that you get the regular kefir colony and you put them in water. So basically, all of the bacteria that lives out of lactose die, because there is no lactose in water and sugar. But all of the ones that is a small part of the colony that eats sugar, it will survive, and that's the colony of the kefir, water kefir. And what they do, you just feed them water and sugar, like fruits and in any way possible, and then every couple of days you change them the water, I say, like with fishes, and you drink the water. Or if you want, you do a double fermentation, a second fermentation in a bottle or in a sealed container, and then it gets bubbly. And if I'm not wrong, this is the first way they were, like the original way to make ginger beer, because they love ginger.
So how does this kefir water taste like?
It's weird.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like drinking.
It's just weird, but at the beginning, can feel unpleasant. But as everything I say, in like if it then is beneficial for your body, our brain learns that this is good, so your taste change and it turns to good. I don't know how to explain it. It's just that that this is gonna have a positive effect, so your brain changes as to, I don't know this, pay attention to, no, this is good, just have it, it's delicious.
Yeah.
I had the same thing with CBD the first time. The first time you do like, oh, and now it's just, I recognize it everywhere.
Well, I still make that face, but I know it's beneficial. But it's true. The perspective of flavors and tastes you get, it is a thing you can train, right? Like, and it's difficult to share with someone the same sensation
because we don't smell and taste the same.
The same, yeah, right. Like
it's a pattern in the tongue.
It is where, while they thought, then we have specifically places where the tongue have sensation. No, they are everywhere, but one places are more receptive to that chemical compound, what makes us feel, then we feel sour taste.
Oh, in that way.
Yeah.
See, but it also, if in Chinese medicine, they divide the tongue with the flavors, because it's right? True that we perceive the spiciness in the front. Okay. The bitterness in the back, if I'm not wrong, or the sourness. You remember that exactly?
No, Okay, so the reason why is because I read the scientific study saying that our contradicting that theory, which I honestly feel like the same. I'd be like, come on, I feel like more spicy in one part of my tongue than another, or sweet. But what this scientific study of the tongue is like, we have the same receptors everywhere in the tongue, but not all of them get linked and active that perception of it. So yes, it is a location area, some part of a geography on our tongue where we have a more the perception of sugar or the taste of sugar, but it is everywhere in the tongue also to be felt. So if I hope I'm not gonna say this, but if somebody cuts your tongue, you still feel the flavor of sugar still. You know what I mean? Like or salty.
If someone cut your tongue,
not the totally part, but that area, that region can be burned out, like burn or something like that. So
you can still taste sweet.
You can still taste sweet, But most of different, I've seen that before in different alternative types of medicine of systems. They and even the Western one, because this is quite recent, as I saw, it's it's still felt in different parts of the tongue, and a map for doing that, right?
Yeah, but also in gastronomy, like if you think about it, do you perceive the spiciness in the front of the tongue, in the top of the tongue? It's true. It's like you feel it, but. Yeah, and what we were saying is that every papilla, every little, what did you call it? Taste buds. Like they are all the same, but they're all different. And so all of us has a different map. So that's why some people taste the coriander, soap in coriander, that I can't taste soap in coriander. For me, the coriander is delicious and tastes like lemon and not like soap. But it's because I have less of those receptors that perceive that soapy taste in coriander, that it exists. And so that's why we can't really share the same taste, but a similar taste for sure. Like sweet is sweet and bitter is bitter. We don't discuss about that, no?
Well, we look at one substance and a piece of a fruit is like, this for me is sweet. It's this sweet for you, and well, if you say this is the way you interpret sweetness, it is sweet,
But that's the same thing I think about colors, because if you tell me that this is gray, but I see red, this is gonna be gray forever for me, even if I see red. No, but I think there is some science behind it.
I mean, I never experienced like the people who are colorblind, but I would love to, talk with someone who had like that experience, because I think, how do they realize that you are different than others? You know what I mean? Like in terms of identifying colors.
Because of someone showed them the test.
Oh, yeah.
No, I think it's because of that, and because probably. So some stubbornness about that color. That's
true.
But usually they discover it because when we are kids at school, they always present us the drawings to see if you're daltonic or not. Is daltonism?
Colorblind, but Yeah, I don't remember in school I've been presented to that. If I was
No,
no,
I do.
maybe I will like yeah, fine, next.
No,
But I
but I'm just
don't.
guessing.
But
I
I
don't
do
know.
remember like in the times in the internet, in the beginning of the era of internet. Look how oh, I'm gonna get to bring this information. Was like that information. People start to see the test when was some images showing, and people were having a talk about is this a black dress or a gray dress? Not I mean, like I don't really remember the colors, but was on the social media where people could start to having this debate. No, I see different way in different ways. Like, wait a second, how many of these people have this type of dysfunction? I can probably or syndrome probably. I don't know what to call this.
Yeah,
But,
I don't think it's just that, because if I'm not wrong, in different cultures, like languages, there are more, like, if you have more names to name a color, like say blue, no, how many tones of blue do you have? You have as many, you recognize as many tones of blue, as many name of colors you know. I don't know how to explain. So in Irish, they have name for like 20 tones of green. Because if you look at a picture of Ireland, there are so many tones of greens. And if I'm not wrong, in Russian or in another language, they recognize less tones of blue. They don't have the word for that. I don't know.
Like
Do you
in
know
their
what I mean? So
dictionary.
it's like it's kind of culture, or yeah, maybe the nature around you, how many shades of the blue you can perceive, because it's your world. There is so many blues. Like if you live by the sea or not.
Yeah, I think like probably like people also living in tropical countries with such a fruits with so amazing, coloring, right? Like and that and animals like you see animals also producing like the furs with different tones and it's probably like a mechanism of defense of camouflage and so on. But in fruits are so attractive to see some vibrance on it. Yeah,
And also we go back to the thing of the taste.
tastes. Yeah.
If you have so many fruit to taste, you have so many layers and of sweetness.
Yeah.
Idea of sweetness that
true.
someone that's live in Siberia probably never tasted, never. It's not even in their mind.
Yeah.
They don't have the perception of so many kind of like peach, mango, passion fruit are shades of the same taste.
Yeah.
Also the flavor, no, because I don't know if in Europe that must be the same, because we talk about it, that every herb has a nature but also has a flavor, a taste, another flavor. So every taste has a direction in medicine. So also in this way you can choose your food or your drinks if you know your body, of course, and you know what's wrong, and you can categorize if something needs more sweet or more bitterness or more heat or more cold. Or what else we were saying? For example, do you remember we said that the flowers usually, because they open up to the sky, they also release the tensions because they let us open up to the sky and release. And while the roots, because they go down and they grow down, so they helps the body to do the same thing. So they redirect down, for example, the ginger, because it stops the vomit, so it redirects the stomach down.
So a vector, it was a vector point on there, the direction where, where the nature of the herb and the vector of the herb, yeah.
So if you actually can categorize what is it that is not going well with you, what your disharmony is, you can already choose your food trying to restabilize that harmony, reintegrate it. So exactly, if there is too much heat, definitely go for cold herbs.
Do you have plants?
Yeah, some.
Yeah, you take care
For the
about
little space that I have plants.
You have plants, yeah.
I have a calendula plant, a marigold. Huacatai plant, that is my favorite. And huacatai, it's a Peruvian herb, and then medicinal and wild. And then I have what is it called? Echinacea. I'm gonna take the root like now. After 3 years, I have it to try to make a tincture. Because the echinacea tincture is very good for, again, this season.
For in this season, to boost your immune system.
Exactly, to boost your immune system. And what else do I have? Oh, I have strawberries.
Strawberries, yeah.
It just appeared from nothing. I like to let grow whatever it comes from the pot. Usually it's potatoes and strawberries in this country, not much more than that.
To be able to grow that already is like amazing, because like strawberries is like it doesn't produce necessarily. It's not a big yielder plant, right? A strawberry plant.
It's not a
yielder.
What is yielder?
It doesn't produce so much strawberries.
No, my own, not at all.
No, yeah,
but,
exactly.
But sometimes, yes, sometimes they produce a lot. I don't know why mine it doesn't. Or maybe the birds, they eat them before I see them, because sometimes I see the buds without the strawberry, so I have some doubts.
Yeah.
But yeah, and now my friend just brought me a avocado. Let's see if it survives the winter.
It's outside?
No, of course not.
Outside, okay,
poor
gotcha.
guy. And then I have I have aloe.
Aloe, yeah.
A very old one. It's already 7 years I have it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, and then 2 plants, I don't know what they are.
Is well developed, like a 7 years old?
Yeah. It was a very small little plant, and now it's big. It's quite big.
I have issues with some pests. I have also like a good amount of plants in my house, and when people give plants to me, like sometimes they can be infected with pests and transmitting pests to other plants. And my aloe just got could not survive. It was a little bit too late for me to keep alive on that. So I have to give up on it. I could survive in a different methods, but it was too late when I learned about them. Yeah.
No, that's so sad.
Yeah, it's sad. But it's nice. I have many other plants and I can take care of it.
Do you have a new baby aloe?
I would love to have one.
I'll bring you one. Mine has a baby and it's not gonna survive. I don't have a pot for it.
Yeah.
I try.
Yeah, that's nice. Thank you. Now we're going to bring a subject. We actually, off air, we were speaking about a subject that I was very impressed, to see how we connected, if it was possible to read the minds of someone, you know what I mean? Because you probably did, but a little bit more with a distance. The moment that I were reading about like the microbiome in our gut, related to psychology of depression and many other illness, stress, found it nowadays, and this is something very well connected in there when I was reading about that subject. But you also mentioned something about it.
Reading minds or guts?
Reading minds. Probably both. But let's start with the guts, because I was very interested about that. How did you get into that?
No, it's really interesting. In effect, that I have read some studies that talks about. We know for sure, all the medicines know, Western medicine knows that the intestines are very important. One, because it's a very large organ, because it's directly linked to the blood, so it is also what it digests everything and what it absorbs everything. So the health of it is necessary to feeding our blood, feeding ourselves. And but what I didn't know, it was that it's so closely linked to mental health, and that there are some studies that shown in the past that shown that they were able to cure depression through a diet of sour milk, and that kefir was very important, like regular kefir, yogurt kefir. So exactly, and not just that they were able to identify which bacteria is linked with what mental problem, like the lack of it, basically. And then there was this very funny studies that we listened together when they used some students, because they said who is the most stressed population that has the worst diet possible, and they said that's easy, let's go to your university to and so they gave a diet rich of kimchi and cheeses and exactly fermented food, and then they gave some food supplement. Anyway, there was one group that had a diet change rich in probiotics with kimchi, yogurt, and so on, and one group that directly got the probiotics in liquid form as food supplement, and then the one that just kept their own diet. And the results were impressive. So we know that, especially when it is about interacting with stress, reacting to stressful situation, the bacteria in our guts make a fundamental piece. Are a fundamental piece, because if we eat well, we are capable to react to life better, let's say, to all the stressful situation in life. And I found it very, very, very interesting.
Yeah. So when we're thinking about, we are trying to feed ourselves, we are actually feeding our bacteria in our gut so that the bacteria can keep us like healthy. That's a very handy mechanism out there for people who eating unhealthy, and also shows like the fact of eating sometimes unhealthy food, we don't get immediately sick. It exists a process out there, and that probably are the very first barrier of defense against like all the illness and so on, like our big connection with the inner part of the outside of the body to the inside of the body, right? Yeah, that membrane.
Yeah, not to bring a very, how do you say, contradictory argument, but I think that also what the COVID showed us is that we can make a big part taking care of ourselves when it is about fighting diseases and virus and bacteria or whatever it is, because there is so much difference between one person taking it and another one. There is one big part that is made by us. So, and our diet and how much we exercise and how much, especially I think how much we know about ourselves and we recognize when something is wrong, because I see that many people really don't understand that something is even wrong. They are so used to have that disharmony that they think that's the way it should work. And then it just gets worse and worse and worse. And especially you can't find where is the problem. So it is also very hard to change the diet, because we always say, just introduce some kimchi or stop eating meat.
Of course.
It is very hard. And especially maybe because food is such a interesting topic, that we all now check the ingredients, check our food, we learned how to cook better and in a healthier way, and we make some choices. But when it comes to drinks, it's still very hard. I have a lot of people that says, I want to stop drinking all the sodas and I want to cut the sugar out of my life. And the only one choice you have is water, and it is so boring that it's hard then to stop drinking anything. No, and we were talking about kefir, water kefir. That's for example, a great alternative to make some funny drinks that can help you fighting depression, fighting stress, fighting disease in general. And you made at home. It's something also you take care of it. There was a period that I don't remember, there were few people living in my house, and we had this big bunch. It was the first batch of kefir that I ever had. And you have these little white things that go up and down in the bowl of water, and this enormous jars of water. And every morning, everybody was talking to them. Hey guys, how are you today? And thinking, oh my God, they're not talking. They're not moving. Something is happening. And it was already healing, just the fact of having it there, you know. And having something alive, you have to take care. I always say also that to recover when you're a junkie, you know. They tell you don't have a girlfriend, first you have to have a pet, and before you have a pet, you have to have a plant, you know. That's they survive. I would say first have kefir. Because if you cannot take care of kefir, it's better not to have a plant either. It's just about changing the water twice every day. So it's a nice way to have consistency as well.
Rhythm, structure,
Yeah, it's all so connected and together.
And so it's healing, mentally healing.
Now, we always ask every guest in our beautiful space here in our podcast, The Health Hunters, has any recommendations of books that has changed your life, as everybody's supposed to read? It doesn't have necessarily talking about, you know, tea or health, but things who have changed you as a person, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, some books that maybe they didn't change my life, but we also have mentioned it a little bit. For example, about fermentation, definitely is The Art of Fermentation. That is the book from Katz. That is the book where I've learned how to make the few fermentations that I've done. It's very specific, and there are recipes from around the world. For example, one very interesting that I've discovered with this book, it's called in English mead, that it actually happens to be one of the first medicine, because it is a drink made by diluting honey. And if, now I don't want to say wrong things, but if I'm not wrong, after the 17% of water, basically the honey starts fermenting. And depending on the country, they have dilution or 1:1 or 1:50 of water. And they let it ferment for days or years. Like was the example, the most far were one in Mexico, is diluted 1:50, ferment for a few days. The other one in Poland, ferment for 4 years. And it becomes a slightly alcoholic, and it change bottles every year, and they have to move it. But it is very healthy because honey, it is a medicine, plus the fermentation process. And in all times, they used to infuse herbs in it, so that you preserve the herbs and you have the properties of the herbs in it. So it was a way to take the herbs. So it was a medicine. It was a proper medicine made by the nuns, so like a monastery or stuff like that. And the recipes over there is very simple to do at home. Actually, I tried, and delicious.
Yeah.
And there is kimchi and lots of things. And another one I'm very affectionate to is how to grow your own drugs from
How to grow
James
your own drugs.
Wong.
Wow.
Yeah. No, grow your own drugs.
Grow your own
Just
drugs.
grow your own drugs from James Wong. And it's linked to a TV series. There were 2 seasons from BBC, I think. And it talks about how to recognize the herbs or grow it, something that you can easily find around in our forests or gardens. So we can grow it and then make medicine at home, like from face masks to golden milk, to remedy to digest. It's really fun, I think.
I mean, the title sounds very fun, actually.
And it combines the fun to actual, like the recipe are real and are based on real fact. Like there is science behind all the recipes. So but at the same time, it's very funny.
I think when we start using anything, like as soon as we start using anything, it had a property of a therapeutic reason, because we're not finding anything to eat. We specifically go to something to treat something. It's like it becomes like, you know, a substance, a drug as a substance, right? As can influences like our body. That's very interesting. Very good book. Yeah.
And then the last one is The Way of Tea, Reflection on a Life with Tea of Aaron Fisher. Yeah, and it's like it's divided in two main parts. One is mostly history of tea culture, and the second one is the philosophy behind drinking tea and tea ceremony. And also how this whole ceremony and drinking tea can make your life more healthier and more joyful and more peaceful.
Very good one. Yeah, Japan had, and China actually, and in India too, also like a very good. I mean, all the countries in Occidental, a very big connection to tea. In that sense, yeah.
Yeah, but tea is an enormous topic. It's just, it's definitely another episode of a podcast because it is.
You're inviting yourself here for the second episode. Can you?
Absolutely, and we need someone that is more expert than me because I'm just learning. But yes, it's like I would compare it with both wine and weed. It's just. Maybe coffee is not that big. I don't know. If you think that I discovered that the Opium War, it was caused by the war for the tea, because again, I don't want to say something historically wrong, but yes, what the English won at the beginning was the tea, and then they were trading it for opium. And then the Chinese didn't want the opium, and then I'm going to say something wrong for sure. But yes, it all comes from the fact that the British wanted the tea.
Wow, that's it's somehow a connection in there for sure.
Yeah, and then what I also discovered is that teams come from China, and then the British, because they wanted it and they couldn't have it, then they went to steal the plants and they brought them to India, to their colony, and they create a different type of tea that is called the British tea, that it's grown in India. So all the plants that are grown in India, it's because the British, they brought them there instead of buying from the Chinese. Now, I don't want to be inexact, but I want someone to explain me exactly what happened over there. But at a certain moment, they gave up and they said, maybe it's more convenient if we just wrap them and do our own stuff and somewhere else where we have the colony and slaves to do that, and the climate. So there is an enormous culture behind it, and in different ways, because there is the Chinese way and there is the Japanese way, and I guess there are also different type of ceremony. And then behind all the philosophy and how it heals, how it's part of the process of taking care of ourselves. So it's a lot. It regards a lot of things again: history, healing, culture, and society.
Yeah, industrialization in some point, because was, as you mentioned, was only a few people who had access to that, to a point then when it exploded to be worldwide known, different countries create like big empires over it. Countries, I'm saying like regions probably, in the time, because we're talking about massive big countries were doing productions of, in China, in India, where we have like a lot of area to produce such amount of.
And also because of the other, then there is also the tasting part, because there are, why I say like wine, because there are so many varieties. It depends on the season it's been collected, how many old is the plant, and the region, and the altitude, and if it was covered, if it was under the sun, if it
So
was
all these factors, right?
if the season was good, the gods were favors. So
Well,
yes.
Thank you for the 3 amazing books. We have one last question. How can people find you?
Oh, they shouldn't. I don't want to be found.
No, we want to have this like amazing and not going to be fun.
Another one.
No, I'm kidding. I work in a very little shop in the center of Amsterdam. It's called Hemp Story. We're working on healing drinks and, of course, cannabis. Everything is related with cannabis, but medicinal cannabis.
What is that stand, medicinal cannabis?
Everybody's been always so focused on the recreational parts, the THC, so the flowers, because only the flowers are the drugs of cannabis. What is it called? Marijuana. But all the rest is as property, as way to use it. So we are, the shop where I work is all about everything else but the flower, let's say, everything else but the THC. And that involves, again, like tea, because I said also that tea is like weed, so many things, because it involves sustainability, because we can make some sort of plastic, definitely build houses, you can make fabric to make clothing, and then healing, because there are the seeds, for example, that are one of the 100 fundamental herbs in traditional Chinese medicine, and they are used to reinvigorate the blood, but also for any type of constipation, visual constipation. I'm pretty sure that they will make them what we call milk, hemp seed milk. So yes, it's also incredible to discover that you cannot just eat the seeds, but you can also drink the milk made out of the seeds, and even the oil, because they are so rich in vitamin E and others oligo-element that create this very strongly tasteful oil. Again, it's a very it's a peculiar taste. You love it or you hate it, but it's definitely very healthy, and it's also good for the skin. So the properties of cannabis are so many, infinite, uncountable, I would say. And one of the things that I love about cannabis is that it has such a wide range of properties that if you take it in a different moment of the day or a different moment of your health, and especially you combine it with a different herbs, it will have a different purpose. So you can have CBD with caffeine, it will energize you and let you focus. But if you have it with melatonin, it will help you sleep. And if you have it in a certain dosage, it will calm your nerves and reduce your anxiety. If you take it a little bit every day, it will, we don't know how, even help your lungs to work, or your, appetite to comes back.
So, sort of like, of the dosage, the synergetic effect with different. It's very nice. That's how all of this can really influence like the the body. Oh, that's nice. And he's
Yeah, that's the right word, is synergy,
synergetic,
because
yeah.
it has a great synergy with a lot of other herbs. So
Yeah.
that's also, and we love to work with the leaves.
Yeah.
So we make this hemp tea blends and have with the same idea, like there is a blend with rooibos for the morning, and then there is a blend for the night with lavender and chamomile. So depending on what you use it can help with the toxic, for example.
How many blends then you do it? Like
At the moment we have 4 blends. We're already working on the 5th. For Christmas.
Oh, that's
Ooh la
nice.
la.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be something very sweet, but with hibiscus, so sweet and sour, with that aroma of cacao. And probably it will have, instead of the leaves that have plenty of properties, but we want to change slightly and use the seeds in this blend. Yeah, but you're all invited to pass by and try it.
Oh, that's nice.
So find her at the Hemp Story, people.
Yeah, the name of the shop is Hemp Story. Right, that's it.
Hey, Flaminia, thank you so much for the time you spent here with us.
No, thank you guys. It was my pleasure.
Sharing all
Let's
that
do it
knowledge.
soon again.
Yes, I will definitely want to be invited to come here and speak, more about this discovering how to stay in homeostasis, right? Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Nice.
Thank you so much again.
No, thank you. Ciao.
Ciao.
Okay, Roxanne,
Fernando.
do you have pets? Do you want to have pets?
What do you mean?
Well, having water as pets.
Oh, like this. Oh, bacteria.
Yeah, the bacteria water, yes. Yeah, I think I can manage to keep like some water in at home. And
So you're gonna try this kaffir water thing?
yeah, I think it sounds pretty good. I have plants and I can keep human beings next to me, so I think I can be able to grow like
yeah,
some
if you
bacteria.
have plants, then you can have these bacterial
Yes,
pets, right?
Survive as at least communicate with people. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
We learned a lot to this
Yeah,
in this
we did. It was
podcast,
very
right?
interesting.
Initially, so.
So this was it, people. So you can contact us through our Instagram, THH, and give a comment there.
Yeah. Say what you wanna. If you have pets, please send the pictures of your
Or
pets.
try,
yeah.
or if you want to try this kaffir water thing.
Yeah, the kaffir water. Yeah, yes. I'm gonna actually ask for the recipe for that later.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
good one.
Yeah.
Okay, see you.
Okay,
all.
guys. Bye. See ya.